Okay, have you heard this one? Okay, we got two blonde carpenters working on a house. One of the blonde carpenters reaches into his bag, pulls out a nail, looks at it, and throws it over his shoulder. He'll reach in, pull another one out, and he uses it and hammers it into the wall. And he keeps doing this, and the other blonde carpenter walks up and goes, "Hey man, why are you throwing away every other nail?" And the one blonde carpenter goes, "It's because every time I pull one out of the bag, it's pointed towards me. If it's pointed towards me, it's defective, so I throw it away." The second one goes, "You idiot, it's not defective, that's for the other side of the house." Hello and welcome to the Geekasaurus. Okay, today we're going to discuss crafting. First off, to craft anything, you need raw materials, and there's two main types of ways to get the raw materials. Either you can gather them, which I'm showing you right now on the screen, or you can scavenge them, and we'll talk about scavenging in just a moment. Unlike other MMOs, you do not have to have a gathering skill. All you need to have is a set of tools. The tools include a logging axe, a mining pick, and a harvesting sickle. The higher the quality, the higher level of material you can gather. Pretty simple, right? The great part is you can have all three tools equipped at the same time, so whenever you see a piece of wood, you can chop it down. Whenever you see a mining node, you can mine it, or if you see a vegetable, you can pick it. Let's talk a little bit about the nodes themselves. Here we see an aspen sapling. On my map, I could see a log. You can notice it. I'll point it out right now, and it's pretty easy to find. The really unique thing in Guild Wars 2 that's different than other MMOs is that is my node. If I decide to go past it and leave it alone, it's still my node and I can come back and get it later. Somebody else can see a node in exactly the same spot and they can gather that node, and that is their node, but it is not taking away from my node. What this helps prevent is the "I saw it first" issue. Hey, that was my mine, I get it. No, I saw it first, it's mine. Well, in Guild Wars 2, it's kind of both of yours, and you can both mine it to your heart's content.
And as with other MMOs, there are some high yield nodes you will find, which will give you more than 2 or 3 pieces at a time.
Okay, let's talk about the other way to get materials. That is a salvage kit. For those who have not played Guild Wars 1, it is basically taking a weapon or a piece of armor or other type of equipment and breaking it down into its base components. If you played World of Warcraft, it's kind of like disenchanting. The higher the level of the salvage kit, the better materials you will get out, up to including things like sigils. Sigils are weapon upgrades. So say you take a weapon that has a plus 10 vitality and you use a very fine salvage kit on it, you have a chance of getting the 10 vitality sigil out, which you can then use to upgrade other weapons. Same holds true for armor pieces. You can get runes or insignias, which can boost your armor stats on other armor that you craft later on. You can even sell and trade these runes and insignias and sigils on the auction house or just to your friend. Before we get into the discussion of each profession, I want to mention something I think that is absolutely amazing. In other MMOs, you sometimes got some experience for gathering, and in this one you do too. And you sometimes got a little bit of experience for crafting things. It depends on which MMO you're talking about. In Guild Wars 2, you can literally stand at a crafting table and go from level 1 to 80. Whether or not you feel this a worthwhile endeavor is up for debate, but there is one thing that is for sure. There are people out there that only enjoy crafting in MMOs, and in other MMOs, they were almost punished for wanting to do something as simple as crafting all day. In Guild Wars 2, they're actually being supported almost entirely. One last little "oh my god, that is just awesome" before we get into the actual professions. The stuff that you craft is actually useful. They designed this game so that you could create things that you could use all the way up through the levels while you're leveling up. It is actually comparable to stuff you would find while out downing bosses, or even stuff you could purchase from vendors. That is amazing. Alright, let's get on with crafting itself, and we'll talk about each one of the professions in turn. Let's go. Okay, you've gathered up all of your materials. Now, what are you going to do with this stuff? Well, you're going to craft. There are 8 crafting disciplines in Guild Wars 2. They don't call them professions because that's what your class is called. They are Armorsmith, Artificer, Chef, Huntsman, Jeweler, Leatherworker, Tailor, and Weaponsmith. Let's go into each one in detail and talk a little bit about them and what they do. First up is Armorsmith. An Armorsmith is able to craft heavy armor pieces, inventory boxes, and runes. This type of crafting requires Armorsmith Crafting Station. So as it sounds, you will be able to make like chainmail, bronze, helms, and that kind of thing. Next up we have Artificer. Artificer is a crafting discipline that focuses on magical weapons such as focuses, scepters, staves, and tridents. An artificer can craft items useful to guardians, elementalists, mesmers, and necromancers. An artificer can also craft potions, consumables that can be used by any profession. Up next we have Chef, one of my personal favorites. Chefs can create food which grants temporary combat buffs that are useful to all professions, as well as various dyes for your armor. They do, however, use the most ingredients of any profession, so you will need lots of bag space. The upside of being a chef is you can purchase most of your materials directly from a vendor, either through coin or karma. A great example of one of their very first recipes they get is just baking bread. The bread will give you a 10% experience bonus for, I think it was 30 minutes, and also, I believe it was plus 10 vitality. This is absolutely amazing because normally you would have to purchase experience bonuses from the gem store. I think it was about 125 gems for a 1 hour 10% experience bonus. Here you bake a loaf of bread and you get experience bonus plus vitality, which is not even in the gem store item. Next up we have Huntsman. It's a crafting discipline that focuses on ranged weapons, including short bows, long bows, pistols, rifles, and harpoon guns, as well as torches and warhorns. This type of crafting requires a Huntsman station. A Huntsman can craft items useful to all professions except elementalists, but is particularly useful to warriors, engineers, thieves, and rangers. Next up is Jeweler, and Jewelers make things like rings and necklaces and all that. But what's different with Jeweler is that most of their recipes come from discovery, and we'll talk a little bit about discovery. The reason I want to talk about it now is because it's kind of the main focus of a Jeweler is discovery. The fact is that all crafting disciplines can use discovery, but with a Jeweler it's a little bit more focused. So basically what discovery is, and I'll show you a graphic right now of the discovery pane. It is just how it sounds. You will take one item and another item and you'll smash them together and see what comes out. And you'll find things that there are no recipes for, and that's the cool part. So in other games where you might have, oh, I've discovered how to transmute some new type of mineral, which everybody gets. This one, it might come up with something kind of unique that only you will have on this server if you're lucky enough. So that is really, really cool. So let's go on to the next profession. The next crafting discipline is Leatherworker, and Leatherworkers make leather armor, inventory packs, and runes. And of course, any class that wears medium armor can wear Leatherworkers stuff. Let's not discount just how awesome it is to have large bags in your inventory. So this is going to be a very useful profession even beyond the normal armor pieces that you could make with leatherworking. What leatherworking is to dead animal hides, tailoring is to cloth. And that's one thing I want to mention real quick. The leatherworker and tailor do not have the ability to go out and farm materials like any of the other professions do. What they have to do is scavenge pretty much everything they have. So tailors make armor pieces for elementalists, mesmers, necromancers, and that sort of thing. They also can make inventory bags, and there is a bit of crossover and overlap between the professions, or the disciplines. Finally, we come up to Weaponsmith. Weaponsmiths craft melee weapons, daggers, axes, greatswords, hammers, maces, spears, swords, as well as shields and upgrade components for these items. Many of these weapons can be used by any profession, but are especially important to guardians, warriors, thieves, and rangers. As you'll see, there is no correct profession / crafting discipline combo, because if you're playing a ranger, you're going to use some items from a leatherworker, you're going to use some items from a artificer even, and including a weaponsmith. So basically do what you want. Okay, before we wrap up here, I just want you to watch on the screen. I am making some bread, and watch how fast my experience goes up. In normal games, when you craft something, it would take 10 seconds per item. Guild Wars 2 doesn't want that to happen. They don't want you to have to make 500 of one thing and have it take 500 times 5 seconds or 500 times 20 seconds or more. What ends up happening is the first time you make an item, it's a little slow, and then it progressively speeds up, so that not only are you making the items faster, but you're gaining XP that much faster too, which is just amazing. Well, that about wraps it up for our crafting video today, and it was just kind of meant to be an overview, kind of showing you some of the things that are going on with crafting, give you a little bit of a taste. As we get into the release, I will spend a lot of time with each crafting profession because I'm actually one of those weird people that like to craft. One thing I wanted to say was a special shout out to all of you people that are my fans. I did receive my permission to become a full YouTube partner through TGN yesterday, and I am super duper psyched about that. You will see that there are ads on the videos now. You don't have to click them or anything, and if you use like an ad blocker, you don't even have to watch them. But I just wanted to say thank you all for following me, for leaving comments, and just sharing my videos. I do this for fun. It's not meant to be a business or anything like that, so I do appreciate all the really cool stuff you guys are doing for me, and I will try to make better and better videos as we go along. So to that end, I think I will try to do at least a video a day once the game's released, because I'll have more footage and I can pick like a topic to talk about that day. So stay tuned for that. We have a stress test today. I'm hoping to get this video up before the stress test starts. So if you have pre-ordered Guild Wars 2, you should be able to play with us today. If not, get it soon. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my videos. Share them, like them, do all that stuff. And until next time,